following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
What's up, Antman?
What's going on, Roxy? How are you?
I'm doing all right, just getting over my weekend.
How was the holiday?
The holiday was all right. I didn't really do much. I don't see the need to go out and drink and drive on a night where everybody, has to go out and gather. So I can do that any night of the week.
Yeah,
So,
I wasn't digging the cold weather, so I hid under my shell, basically. I'm like, yeah. And there's more to come. I don't know if you saw the weather or not, but we're supposed to be getting the S word at the end of the week.
So I did a reptile expo on Sunday, and it was in Indiana. And on our drive up there, we left pretty early in the morning, and it was totally fine here, in my area. And we hit Indiana, and it was instantly turned to nothing but snow and ice, black ice, sleet. It was insane how quickly it turned, and it was a shit show, to be honest with you.
Nope. Keep it.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, it's coming our way. We got to experience it twice.
Yeah, that's gonna be the fun part, I think. I've seen a lot of student drivers over the course of the pandemic. What's going on, Blevins? Over the course of the pandemic, I've seen a lot of student drivers. It's like parents decided that with a pandemic, I guess less people are on the streets. They're like, this is a good time to get my kid their driver's license. There's a lot of student drivers around the neighborhood, and I watched a student driver take out some trash cans this morning on my way to my doctor's appointment. That was interesting.
Oh, fun.
That was interesting.
At least they were just trash cans and not like pedestrians.
I mean, yeah, I'll take that any day, but it was cool to watch them back up, park, back up, park, back up.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So cool show tonight, man. I'm really excited about it. The cool thing, I feel like I'm the dude in the corner. Like, this is really your show. Like, honestly, I'm excited about this show just to be able to understand more about how hard it is to be in the industry. I'm curious about it. I'm really not in music myself as far as podcasting and stuff like that. I am, but I've never played an instrument. I've always been a fan of the instruments and the music and the people that are able to use them diversely. So this will be fun for me.
Yeah, I've got to experience both aspects of it, and I can say it's definitely a difficult industry, especially being a woman. It's so a woman in a man's world, and I hate to say that. It's kind of true though, right?
It is. It's 100% accurate. And so coming into this interview, I have nothing but the utmost respect for every lady in industry. I've heard really good stories, and I've heard, unfortunately, really bad stories. So I'm excited to hear advice on how, people always ask us all the time, well, how do you overcome this? Or how do you overcome that? So I'm really excited to hear, what the ladies have to say.
Oh, definitely. And I'm going to give them a minute, Rachael to get back into the green room. We got the ladies back there from Paradise Kitty. So let me tell you a little bit about them. Before I go into that, we got to, thank our sponsors, Standout, Serpents.
Oh, yes, man. Yes, Kirk is awesome. I appreciate him and Standout Serpents, man. And what was the best holiday gift to give this year for Standout Serpents, Roxy?
So I've seen a lot of variety, corn snakes actually were a big hit, as well as red-eyed green tree frogs. Oddly
Really?
enough, yeah.
Why?
The green tree frogs, they just sit there and they're cute. They're derpy looking. They look like gummy bears on the side of the glass, because they flatten their bodies against it.
Mhm.
And they're just cute as can be. So
Awesome. What about the corn snakes? What's up with those? Why are those so? Are they the same thing? They're just kind of cute and hang
the
out in the
corn
corner.
snakes are a good starter snake. They eat easily. They don't grow very big. You don't have to monitor their humidity as much. They're just really good starter snakes. So you definitely can't go wrong with that, or
Right
the
on.
king snakes. So, and they come in some really cool colors as well. One thing I love about the corn snakes is they all have little head stamps, like the pattern on their head, and you'll see
Oh,
different shapes. So if you go to my TikTok on Roxy's Reptiles, you'll see I've got one posted. It looks like a dick in balls. It's so funny. So their head stamps always have something unique going on.
that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Something to brighten up your day scrolling through TikTok. Oh, that frog's head looks like a dick and balls. Awesome.
Yep.
Cool.
Animals are awesome. So thank you for Standout Serpents
Yes.
and Music Familia Productions, W4CY and Talk 4 TV, because without them, we wouldn't be here. And
Right.
without
Absolutely.
you guys as well. So thanks for tuning in. Uh, love to leave your comments. We've got Blevins in the house. Love these ladies. He's excited for Paradise Kitty.
With inappropriate.
Yeah. Janine and
Janine
yeah, we got.
Cunningham, Paul's nightclub in the house. Good evening. Thank you,
Oh,
ma'am.
nice. Yes. Awesome. Thanks for being here, everybody. So on with the show. Paradise Kitty. So all female rock band, tribute band for Guns N' Roses. That's a hard one to hit. So vocally, I'm amazed by them. Let's bring them in. So we
Let's do
got
this.
Jenna and Rachael.
Hello, hello.
Hey, ladies.
Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome. Where are you guys at this evening? What part of the States are you in right now?
I'm in Southern California, Long Beach.
Rachael, where do we lose your sound? Oh no. We hear you. You don't hear us.
I can't hear you guys at all.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Mhm.
can.
All I'm getting is it sounds like if I'm talking to three trolls, and you guys aren't trolls, but it sounds very interesting.
All right. I'm going to throw Rachael back into the green room and talk to her in the chat. So, Antman,
I can't understand a word you're saying.
I take care of her, okay?
All right. What's up, Jenna? How are you?
I'm doing good, Antman. Thanks for having us on.
First and foremost, thank you for doing what you do as an artist and musician. You know, I had a chance to really do my homework on you ladies, and fucking awesome. I'm like, it's fucking awesome what you guys do and what you ladies have been able to do.
Thank you so much. We've worked pretty hard at it, and I think we're doing a pretty damn good job at it. 5 badass chicks kicking ass with Guns N' Roses. You can't ask for anything else, right?
Yeah, so let's talk about that. First, Jenna, what's your background with music? How long have you been in music?
I grew up with a very musical family, but I've been performing professionally since I was about 15 years old. And I grew up here in Southern California, so Sunset Strip was a major part of my upbringing and growing up. My dad played the Sunset Strip when I was a kid. And I guess like my first pro band hit the Strip when I was 15, and I've been playing live ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why Guns N' Roses?
One, the timing was right, and two, we had the we had the girls. We got hit up by both Rachel and I got hit up by a mutual friend of ours to start the band, and we found the right mix at the right time. And since then, some of the girls have come and gone to do their other things outside the band, and we've gotten other girls to fill in and come on in. We hire the best string players that you can find anywhere in LA. But Rachel and I, we took it, we went running with it. It was the right time. It was right before the reunion was going to happen, and we already knew that was in the process. So we figured, well, this is a really cool project, but two, it'd be really great, money grab too, to get this really going. And it made financial sense. It made rock and roll sense. I mean, who doesn't love Guns N' Roses too,
Right.
So we figured if you're going to start a tribute band to anything, you might as well do a female tribute band to Guns N' Roses. It's sex, it's drugs, it's rock and roll, it's just being a badass up on stage and camaraderie with your sisters. So, we got to all fall in love with those albums again and really take it and hit the ground running. And here we are 6 years later, traveling the world together.
And you've
Coming
been in
up.
bands before Paradise
Yeah.
Kitty, correct?
Say that again.
You've been in bands before Paradise Kitty, correct?
Oh yeah. In fact, all of us we all have our own projects outside of the band and stuff. But this was my first tribute band. Same thing with Rachel. Same thing pretty much with all the other girls. It was our first like tribute. And we don't dress up the parts. We don't do the funny stage names or anything. It's we keep our regular names that we've had for years up on stage, and we just go up there looking cool and kicking ass on the songs.
Well, you already fit the persona. You're already a badass rocker chick, so
Thank you. Thank you. Kind of runs in my blood, I guess. I've been doing it for a long time.
I've seen you do some stuff, acoustic stuff. Your vocals are not just fitting for an Axl Rose type of music. You actually have a really good voice, like
thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
So
yeah, I grew up with a family that was very deep rooted in country and singer songwriters. So punk rock too, like jazz. I guess I just have an eclectic family that gave me a great eclectic taste in music. So I didn't want to just learn one style of vocals. I tried to take a little bit from each one of them and make it my own when it comes to my own personal voice. But when it comes down to doing stuff with Axl, I do my best as a female to try to mimic what he does and then add a little flair there because, I'm sassy. You got to show it off.
yeah,
Can't have it any other way. You have to. Larger than life, larger than life. That's the way I just picture Axl, especially from those times, just
right
in life. So when you guys first set out to do Guns N' Roses, what was some of the hard parts of that for you? Coming from the music you guys have been playing for and playing with for so long, what were some of the hard parts for you coming into this?
Well, Guns N' Roses it's not just rock and roll. They're very well trained guys too, along with all of it, and they have eclectic styles in their own. So finding the right tones, finding the right players that can play those right tones with the right kind of attitude was probably the hardest for us, and that's why it's part of why we've gone through a plethora of girls to try to find the perfect dynamic. As myself, the hardest thing, Axl hits notes that I have a hard time hitting, and I'm a female. So it was a lot of training, vocal training, physical training, training my breathing to land in the right spots so that I could be as physical as he is up on stage, to be a better frontman, to be as good as a frontman as him. So, that's something for my part that I had a hard time really tackling. And he writes a lot of lyrics. I don't know if you guys know, but Paradise City has got 4 verses of massive paragraphs in each verse. So learning a lot of the lyrics took a lot of time. But once we got it down, man, that muscle memory just gets you going, gets you moving. So Yeah, I guess that's it. I don't know. Is Rach back up on? She's
I'm
got a
here.
different point
I'm
of view with
here.
all of it.
I can hear you guys
Yay!
now.
Hey,
That was
awesome.
fun. Sorry, I switched devices yet again, but I'm in. I got it.
All right.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi. I can hear you guys now. That was funny. You guys sounded like Wayne's World trying to order donuts with the broken speaker.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
Sounds fun on your end, but wouldn't work on ours, huh?
I mean, I was kind of hoping when I got in there'd be donuts, but you know.
oh. The intern failed.
Oh man, yes.
Well, you know,
Oh,
it's like par for the course when everything works just fine in the test run, and the minute you go action, no one remembers their lines.
Right.
yeah. Yep. Or string breaks, or a drum head crack, like something happens. Yeah. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having
Hi.
us.
So I was hanging out, talking with Jenna a little bit. I wanted to ask you as well, where do you come from? Where do you come from with music?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I am technologically challenged today. Forgive me, you guys. I'm sorry. Your question was.
Oh, so I was just curious, where exactly, like, where you come from in music. I know I was speaking with Jenna, and she's got a pretty musical background. Just wondering what yours is like.
You mean like my music education, or what turned me on to music?
Just where you've been, yeah, where you started out with music.
Music was my everything growing up, except for a career choice. And I didn't play an instrument. I mean, I grew up in little towns or ranches in the middle of nowhere. There just wasn't access. You know, the only place to buy an album was 40 miles away at the Walmart. You know, so I was pretty remote out there. I mean, we were, you know, when you're out in the country on a ranch, you don't even get MTV. You don't have.
Right.
We were too far from radio. Like the radio I got was Spanish radio, like hidden with static. So it was like, so it was, you know, everything in my life was music, but I didn't play. I didn't, you know, I wanted piano lessons as a kid, but you know, to drive to town for a piano lesson was a 40-mile run. And, you know, it was just a different type of living. So for me, it was everything except for a career choice. And I started college when I was really young. And then I took a year off. I started college at 15 and I took a year off 2 years after that. And when I took that year off, I had a dream. I was on stage playing one night and I woke up the next day and was like, I can't say no to this anymore. So I was bussing tables and every day would take my $10 in tips down to the music store to put it on a drum kit. And didn't start playing till a little older than most people that start. Still wasn't that old, realistically. But and then everything in my life was music after that. That's all that mattered. So a couple years after that, I moved to LA and I thought, you know, if I can't, you know, if I want this to be my business, I need to learn about the business as well. So all the jobs I chose while I was here were working in the music industry, because if, you know, I just wanted to understand the business of it as well if I wanted it to be a career and not just, you know, play the local pub every Saturday. So.
Right on.
And
Yeah.
another thing Antman asked Jenna earlier was, what was the hardest parts for you? If you could answer that too, what was the biggest obstacles that you came across?
Coming from when, you know, you started to, and then coming into doing the Guns N' Roses.
I think younger, the hardest part for me, to be completely transparent about it, was finding the time to follow this hobby that I wanted to be my career, but I was a beginning player. So, you know, I was at a point in my life where I had to pay my own rent. I had to, you know, cover my car payments. I had to be an adult as in my early 20s. And, you know, I had to work my ass off to live in LA and support myself living here. I quite often in my life have worked 3 jobs. So, which is a lot. That doesn't give you much time to even sleep. So trying to find the time, you know, it's not like if you're 15 laying in your bedroom playing guitar for 6 hours because you're bored on a Saturday and that's just what you want to do. I don't have the luxury of time to be bored to do that. And I haven't really ever since I started playing. So I think for me, that was probably one of the biggest challenges, is balancing life and creative passion and trying to find the balance between those two. And it's still a balance I struggle with. I hate to tell you how many times I was like, why can't this be the Renaissance? Why can't I just have a benefactor? why can't we, back in the Renaissance, big artists, they would have a group of artists that were their understudies, and they were supported in doing this, and it supported the learning of an art craft. And I just don't know that our society really supports that much now, at least here in the US. I know Europe's a little more kind to artists and musicians and teaching and learning. And, I just, at 20 years old, would have given almost my left arm to go to music school, but I couldn't afford it. And I didn't have the resources to do that, So I think that was probably just the challenge, is trying to survive in life while also creating time to be creative and to explore your craft and to study it and to move forward with it.
You definitely have to have passion to be able to dedicate and pull out that time that you can't find. So
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't have passion, you're really not in it. I mean, you can have talent without passion and vice versa, but it's really the passion that's what drives the music, in my opinion. We have a question here. So, what bands have you two been in? So, maybe just kind of speak of something that you've been in the past, and maybe what you learned from it.
I had a high school band called St. Dick Shift because we wanted to be sassy assholes. And I was a screamer. I was like, rah! And it taught me that being in a band with 6 people is very hard. and then after that, I had my band Rue, and we toured the US, but remained mostly in Southern California. We put out 2 albums back in the early 2000s, and that was more on the side of, I don't know, you think like Tool with a female singer. And so we did a lot of long songs. And what I learned from that is that if your guitar player travels with you, make sure he has a regular steady shower program. If not, you want to throw him out the bus every time he takes his shoes off.
Him or her.
Or her, yeah. Or her. And then I have my band Jenna Syde and the Watchers for almost a decade, and we traveled all over the country. And I was the spearhead for that band. The other 2 bands, I had managers and people that were very helpful financially and everything. But that band really taught me that I had to grow up and how to push forward with my own dream when nobody else did. And that one, I went through members, went through relationships. And I had started that one off after being in 2 bands that were very aggressive. That the next one was more like punk rock, fuck you, I'm going to take charge. And also, we're going to have a party. So it really taught me to explore my emotions. And it taught me that when times are hard, you don't have to put up with the people that are making it hard on you. You can push forward and just count on yourself. And so that's what I did with that one.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually have an image here, and I want to know if it's okay if I show the audience of the album cover of the Jenna Syde and Pretty Plastic. Can I show that to everybody?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's pretty artsy. It's more than just
Awesome.
I don't know. It's pretty awesome. I love this.
Thanks. At the time, I was a huge Dexter fan, and I had written a song about people being plastic in the world, just fake people, and the song was called Pretty in Plastic. So it was kind of coinciding. That album was coinciding with the end of the television show, and I was such a big fan. I figured that imagery, everybody really knew it at that time. It was so popular. So that's why I did that one. And it was also done by my buddy over at Traumatic Studios. So David, he's awesome. Look him up, David Artsbigger.
Awesome. And Rachel?
Bands you may have heard of. I was in an all-girl rock band named Cockpit for 10 or 11 years. We, it was a DIY band. It started as a cover band, then quickly turned into originals. And we started our own label, released our own albums, got national press, toured the country, played like Rocklahoma. We did some cool stuff on our own, which was really great. And I mean, the bass player from Cockpit is now playing in Paradise Kitty, which is awesome. And the guitarist and I have lunch about once a month. And, you know, most of us are still great friends. But I think what I learned from that project was you can't expect everyone to have the same vision or the same drive or like the same things. And even though, like, you know, everyone might have a similar goal to a degree, like those goals change, and you need to really take a moment sometimes to reassess how they've shifted and grown and changed, because it might not be growing in the same direction as you. And so, you know, sometimes you could spend a lot of time spinning wheels trying to, you know, go in a certain direction when nobody's
Can I
really
add to that, Rachel?
You know,
Could I add to that, Rachel?
Please.
So I wanted to ask, because so many people like have bandmates that are from high school, or like, I've known this guy for 20 years, or I've known this girl for X amount of years. Like, I got all this history. Like, does that kind of fall into that with that too sometimes? Like, sometimes you have to see past, like, okay, yeah, we're friends, we're just not bandmates, kind of. Like, is there like a harsh reality between that sometimes?
I think in that situation, when you're in a band, it's really, you know, all those little sayings of like a chain is only strong as its weakest link. It's really the case. You know, you really, like, if one person is like my way or the highway, you're all screwed. So, and let me tell you, it's no fun being on the road with people that don't want to be there. You know, especially when you're 4 girls in a van, you just drove 10,000 miles in 3 weeks and you're hauling all your own gear. Everyone's playing half stacks. You're loading in, setting, you know, sleeping 3 hours a night, all cramming into one hotel room. If somebody doesn't love it and doesn't want to be there, it makes everyone miserable, you know? So, like, really just a little bit of poison can spoil the whole well, you know? So I think what's important is, in that situation, I mean, definitely when you're in a band, it's like being in a relationship with 2, 3, 4, 5 other people, depending on how big your band is and how little money you want to make, right? Concerning, unless you're in some, like, unless you're like backing Paulina Rubio or something.
Right.
But Gene Simmons once said to me, he was like, "Never have a band with more than 4 people. Your manager will make more than you." And, you know, just the way money's split with commissions, you know.
Yeah.
Wow, that's truth.
Yeah. So, but I think really, you're literally in a marriage when you're running a company like that and you started your own label, and everyone has an equal say so and an equal cut of everything, and everyone has an equal voice. You're really in a marriage with, in that case, it was with 3 other people, and a marriage with one other person is hard. From what I hear, I've never been married, but I would imagine it's hard. It could be difficult and it has challenges. And, you know, when you're having it out with 3 other people, you don't have makeup sex. You'd really never have makeup sex. There's like, you really deal with a lot to get to that point. And I think sometimes you feel an investment in someone, and you feel like, if we've spent all this time together, I've invested all this in you, and or like, you feel like if you kind of owe it to them. It's like that relationship that, like, well, we've been together for 3 years and I'm not totally happy, but, you know, I'm not totally sad either. And I just, it would be shitty of me to break up with them. And I don't, you know, you see, you just kind of stay in this place of moving it along.
Stagnant.
You know? Did that kind of answer your question, Antman?
No, it does. It does. Absolutely. You know, I'm going to be completely out here and just say this. So many men are more bitchier. Like, they complain more than some of the female artists and female ladies in the industry. Like, I don't know why that is, but men in the industry just bitch a lot and complain a lot. And they talk about their bandmates, and they're like, "Oh, I've been with him. Like, I've known him since high school, and we're in this band." I'm like, but why do you feel like you're still in the spot you're in? Oh, well, I don't know. Well, are you being honest with yourself about your bandmates and or your position and where you want to be with the band? You know, and I get the grumble from them, like they don't want to answer the question, or they don't want to fess up, like, yeah, maybe you're right, maybe I don't want to. So, it absolutely answered my question, and I feel like there's some dudes in the chat that may see this after the show and be like, wow, he was, wow, oh wow, okay. I hope.
Well, I mean, I have a question for you, Antman. So where were you about 2005 when we could have had this conversation back then? You could have saved me a few years of.
Yeah, no,
I'm proud of everything I did with Cockpit, but it was really it. I think if I would have had the realization sooner that I built a car, I wanted to tour, and there was things I wanted to do. So, and there weren't any projects out there that were the right fit for me, or that, like so many times I'd hear like, yeah, we want you in our band, but my girlfriend wouldn't be cool with you touring with us. And so I lost a lot of gigs because of that. Back then it was like less acceptable for a girl to be in the van or on the bus. So I built the project to do certain things, and I'm really stubborn. And once I set my direction, it's really hard for me to change course. I just keep going until I hit a wall, So I think it took a long time for me to realize that I was like pulling a rope, digging in the mud, and behind me was 3 people with their brakes on going, and I was like, no, we'll get there. So I was like literally dragging them along because I wanted things. And once I realized that, it was like a switch went off in my head, and I was like, I'm done. I started this band. I built this band. I, played in it for over 10 years, and I just was done. It was just a quick switch flip for me. So I think my big lesson there is to put a little more faith in myself, own my power, and also be a little more aware of when other people aren't feeling the same level of excitement about something that I am. As Jenna knows, I'll get real excited about a business idea, or like we're going to do this, it's going to be great. And not everyone might think that, like, parachuting naked in Dubai is great. I have this idea, and I'm going to make it happen.
You could parachute naked, but I want to ride elephants.
It's not in Dubai. I think you might get arrested. I saw Sex in the City. So that was my lesson from that project, and then I was in Femme Fatale for a little bit, and it was just a short time, and I think my big lesson from that was that it's very difficult for me to be just a hired gun in a project because of my business background as well. So it's
and your stubbornness.
Well, I mean, I'm very reasonable. My stubbornness isn't like an argument stubbornness. It's more of like, I won't stop working,
So like headstrong. We'll go with that. That you're very will driven.
But it's, and I've spent many years working in the music business. So I've worked in some of the top offices and worked 70-hour-a-week jobs doing major deals between record labels. And I've managed recording studios, and I've worked for management companies. I've worked for booking agencies. I've worked for, I used to be one of Jimmy Iovine's assistants. He's the most powerful man in the music business. So, I've done a lot of crazy industry work as well. So I'm 50% businesswoman with an industry mind, and I see things a certain way, so when I'm just a hired gun, it's really hard for me to sit back and be like, if you did this a little different, you might earn more. You'd have a better show. Your touring party would feel better out on the road. Like it's hard for me not to get involved in certain things when I see how things can be streamlined and work a little better. So, that's, like, I just realized that that's part of who I am as a musician too, is I'm creative in a business sense, and I need to be able to express that creativity as well as musical creativity. So
I think that's incredibly inspiring, because you're not just the musician that a lot of people think you are. And the fact that you have the knowledge, the know-how, both of you have been there, what's going on. And so many people are quick to discredit women. And
yeah, absolutely.
Just thought,
she's just a front woman, or she's just a singer. I hear that, and that pisses me off. That fucking pisses me off. I get really upset.
I'll tell you a little something about this girl. Wait, which way? That way. who's just the singer of the group. We have a bank account together. We started a business together. We have business meetings regularly. And, when we get together to have band meetings, it's Jenna and I. And, 80% of that band meeting is discussing accounting and business and goals. And, it's full-fledged think tank business meeting,
Yeah.
And I think that's the one thing too, like so many musicians and bands, like they'll drop off because they don't realize that if you really, really have the drive to play in this band and take it in the long haul, you need to start paying attention to the business side of things. If you want the band to be signed and be this, like, you need to start touring, and you need to find where your finances for that touring is coming. You need to find who the right people are to back you. You need to like Rachael and I have different roles in the band that we take on, both on stage and off stage as business partners. And when you are working as a team, each person should have that role. If you decide to make it even split between all of you and work together solidly on your one spot, but all come together. She's right. The weakest link, you're only as good as the weakest link in any situation, both financially, business wise, and as a musician wise, as in a band. So, I'm lucky that I got a partner like her. She's more tied into me than I am with my better half. Don't tell him I said that.
You guys don't share a bank account. We do.
Oh, wow.
We know each other's social security numbers.
We do. We're bound via the IRS.
That's the ultimate kind of marriage right there.
I will say, though, that another thing I learned through my path of getting to where I'm at is that it's a lot easier to get work done when your partner is one person and not three.
Yeah.
That makes both of us, Jenna and I, both more accountable for what we do. It makes it easier to do things. It makes it easier to, to just really get things done. We are able to work a lot harder that way and accomplish more with less work, basically.
Yeah, totally.
But I'm not saying, if there's anyone out there that's looking to start a band and they have different ideas about that, like, please, you don't need to follow our model. That's just what I've learned in my situation. So your situation might be different, where it's a different type of breakdown that works well for you, because like every group is different. Every mix of people is a whole different vibe.
I'm glad you put that insert there, because it's really finding your way, and you have to listen to other people's experiences and their knowledge and use that to kind of help you navigate through your journey. Everybody's is different. I think that's kind of why me and Antman got this podcast together, is because we're trying to help everybody overcome those obstacles, because there's so much. It's not a cookie cutter industry. It's not easy.
It's funny because, similar and different from music, but similar in podcast and production work and stuff. Like, we've both done multiple different projects on our own and stuff like that, and always like have been. I think we've known each other for well over 5 or so more years now, and it's just through music. And like, we always like, we should do a project together. And you know how it goes. It gets like shuffled. And then eventually we were like, no, we really need to do this. And then finally she's like, look, we're doing this. All right, cool. What do I do? I'm showing up. Let's do it.
Nice.
And I feel like the industry is missing so much, especially after the pandemic. There's some right things going on and some wrong things going on that I feel like, even right down to our locals, that, it could really help if just they did a couple tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's sometimes hard to see what those tweaks are when you're caught up in it, though. It's like,
True.
Like as an outside viewer, you could say, look, that tree should go over here and the picture will be more balanced. But when you're in the picture, it's hard to see the balance of things sometimes,
Yep.
That's definitely true.
Yeah.
You only see it until you stumble over it, right? You don't see it until you stumble over it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that, I think we've all been stuck in a rut, and the pandemic came across, and all of a sudden it's not just everybody's stuck in a rut, we're all stuck in one spot at the same time, the entire world. And for a business like ours, the music business is a social business. It killed off 90% of what we had going on for almost 2 years, but having the right team and the right partner, the right friends to help you move forward after something this catastrophic happened. I mean, you got to be thankful. So anybody trying to start up anything new, you got to think, who's that person that I feel will be able to be there through something like this that has stopped the world? Because now we know that this can happen again. We have to find the people that are part of our tribe that can really help us get through a situation that may happen like it again,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Man.
I like that. Find somebody that's part of your tribe, who's got same goals as you, who's going in that same direction. Definitely. That always find those people.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You guys seem like you found each other, and you guys are so fitting with each other. So it's great, for sure.
We're lucky, and it's
sometimes you find
it's really
fake. You aren't even looking for them, and they just happen in your life, which is kind of, Jen and I were kind of brought together in that way, and it just strange because our planets orbited closely to each other for years, but we never crossed paths.
A long time.
And then once we
especially
did,
in Hollywood, being females in a very male dominated society out there in Hollywood playing, there weren't, like, us growing up, there weren't a ton of female bands playing the Sunset Strip. There was a very small handful. Now you have female musicians all over social media, and I thank God that social media has really catapulted girls and picking up instruments and finding their empowerment. But Rachael and I, early 2000s, both of our bands were touring and playing heavily in LA and across the country, and we never met. It's kind of crazy that we never met because we were walking the same paths just about every day.
I even worked for a label you were signed to.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And I never met you.
Our paths I never even knew who Jenna was until this project started. Yeah. But it's like you mentioned, like, all the girls you see on the internet now that are, picking up guitars and shredding and drumming and stuff. It's great because years ago it was so rare to come across other female musicians. And like, I remember in Cockpit, we were always, our lead guitar role was our role that we always had a hard time filling. And then the player would leave for one reason or another. They decide to have children and have a kid and couldn't tour anymore, or, whatever. And I remember, like, every time we'd lose the lead guitarist, it would be like a year or two till we found another. There was a point in time, I kid you guys not, where we were placing ads in Thailand because someone told us there was a lot of good female musicians there. We were literally placing ads in Thailand because we couldn't find a lead guitarist. It was wow. It was so frustrating. There was only a couple out there. So now, like, having a much larger base of female musicians is really awesome because it opens up more opportunities to play with other women, and that's really cool. The one thing that I think it's great because it's opened that up. The one that part of that I don't like, or that I would like to see grow, is that you see all these great players online that are doing a great job playing their 16 bars, but can they jam with another musician? Can they finish a song? Can they get on stage? Can they, all these other things come into question because, I know there's some people out there, guys or girls, that, like, they've worked for a month on that 16 bar solo, but that's the only thing they could really play. And they got tons of views on it. It's great. So now they're working on their next 16 bars of this one part of a song that sounds cool, or they could do their one trick during it. But, like, can they make it through the rest of the song and make it through the other parts that are harder to chew on or that aren't in their wheelhouse? And I think it's, I would love to see those players just start, like, playing with other players more and jamming with each other, because it's
getting out there.
Now, to be a musician star, like, to that younger generation, you just have to have good lighting and a cool outfit and know your parts in your bedroom, that you do 20 takes to get the perfect take. Whereas for Jenna and I, it's like you had to walk in the room pants down and fly, and it had to be good. Yep. You had to, like, get up on stage and play, and you had to, like, it's a different vibe around it and a different skill set that is needed for that, I think.
That's amazing that you brought that up, because I actually had that conversation with one person, actually, just one, because I've not encountered a whole lot of people other than Antman that will talk music that deep. And that is true these days, that somebody can't just, they can go out there and they can play what they were told by YouTube or sheet music or whatnot. But when it comes to playing and feeling and combining what you got going on with somebody else and making something happen, that's very far-fetched sometimes for some people. And
The millennials killed it.
these days, yeah,
The millennials killed it with their one beat, one thing. Here you go. Because now everybody's like, hey, I can do that. Like John's over there in the toilet and a couple stalls down, like, yo, I'm going to make this awesome beat once I get off work. And he's going to go out to his car and he's going to try to do it. And he's going to spend every amount of time he can until he gets that one, but what happens after that one?
Or what happens when you finally, okay, you learn the whole song, you're good at playing the whole set, you found a band, you get on stage. What happens when your amp cuts out during the third verse of the second song?
Right.
Do you know how
do
to
you freak out? Do you stand there like a deer in the headlight?
Deer in the headlights, wait for some sound guy to come fix it that doesn't exist. It's really just all those other skills that make you a well-rounded musician. Like, to me, like 50% of being a musician, just the way I was taught in the music community, was like, half of the jobs you get is like how you hang, being a good hang, and how easy you are to get along with on the road, and do people want to be around you? I a number of years ago, I went to a drum clinic at MI, and I lived down the street, and my buddy Kenny Aronoff was clinic. He was like I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a big session drummer. He's played with everyone you could imagine, from Willie Nelson and Celine Dion to John Cougar Mellencamp and everything you hear on the radio. So he's like a big session guy. And he was clinicking at MI, and he's just a great, lovely, spirited human that is he's just a ball of joy when he walks into a room. And, he works 360 days out of the year. The guy is working nonstop. Like, I've seen him be on tour with a band and get off stage and fly to Nashville to work on a session till noon, to fly back out on tour to sound check, to fly back to Nashville the next morning. Like, he's insane. He's just insane. And I went to this clinic, and he called me. He's like, great, you live down the street. Come down and listen to my clinic. You might learn something. Come, I'll put you on my list. Come in. So I'm sitting there and I'm listening and I'm watching, and he comes out and he talks and he does his thing. And then he gets up and he plays and he keeps talking. And I sat there and I was like, afterwards, I told him, I was like, I forget that you're even a drummer, no less one of the world's best, because I love you and adore your personality so much. You're such a lovely person to have in a room and just to be around. I love hanging out with you because you light up a room with sunshine. And I forget that you're a drummer, no less a kick-ass, mind-blowing, amazing drummer that's played on everything that you can imagine. You turn on the radio and one of Kenny's songs will be playing. I was like, because I adore you and love you as a human so much. Like, 90% of the work you get is because you're so cool to be around. Producers call you because in a tough session, they're like, get Kenny in here. He'll make it feel good. Bring Kenny, bring his vibe in. Of course, he has the skill to back that up with, and, the degree in orchestral percussion from the university, and he carries the musicianship with him to back that. But I think, I tell him all the time that I think a lot of the work he gets is just because the vibe he carries and he brings. And that's really like something really special that people want to be around,
Yeah, that's definitely awesome that you have brought that up, for sure. We're running short on time, but there's a topic that I really want to discuss with you ladies, and that's confidence as a woman. The confidence. There's a lot of things in this world that bring us down, whether it's trying to build us up by saying, hey, you need to be this cover girl kind of thing, or that whole spiel. But the directive might not be received the same. So how do we work on confidence as a woman? How do you do this? and get up there and do what you do. Be proud and show what you got going on.
That's
You
tough.
know, every day, like whenever I'm feeling down, like we all have those days where it's just not our day, you know, we're just not feeling it. But the thing that keeps me from being alone is knowing that all of us go through that. And the thing that keeps me confident that I can break through it is my family and my friends, and knowing that we all trudge through this muck together. That if you got the right support system and you got people around you that love you, then that is the confidence that brings me up, because I know that I'm worth their love and their time. If they think that, then I really must be. And I try to tell it to my friends too. If I love you, then you're worth it, because I'm not going to just give that emotion, that time, and that strength and support to anybody. There's plenty of people in the world like, nah, I don't need that. But when you find people in your life that support you, then you can support yourself. You can really find your strength in their love and support yourself with that, and know that if you're good enough for their love, you're definitely good enough for your own self-love, girl, because that's just, people aren't going to waste their time on things that are worthless. You know what I mean?
And if you have people in your life that put you down and make you feel like shit, cut them off and move on. They are not.
Yeah.
That's not a friend. Frenemies aren't friends. They aren't. I think for me, the big realization was when I first moved to LA from little town in New Mexico. And I realized very quickly that there would always be someone in the room that was skinnier, taller, prettier, richer, smarter, blonder, brunetter, you know, like there's always someone that you could judge yourself against. And I had this epiphany moment, like my first month in LA, that was basically like why I could measure myself against all these other people, or I could just realize that there's no one out there like me, and embrace who I am, whether it's cool, whether it's weird, whether it's what people want or not. If I just embrace who I am, I'll gravitate towards the people and the situations that fit that, instead of the people and situations that fit who I'm trying to be. And that was a big like epiphany moment for me in my early 20s, and it really helped build my confidence. But confidence is something we all battle with. Imposter syndrome, I mean, it wasn't until like a year ago I'd call myself a musician, and I know that's really silly and stupid because it's been dedicated to it, but it's, you know, imposter syndrome's real. You know, and really just coming to terms with, you know, who you are, what you've done. And like, I think it's really important to I say this all the time, to water the roses, not the weeds. If you want the roses to grow, water the roses. If you're like, I have really funny looking feet, and you're focusing on that, that's all you're going to see is your funny looking feet. But if you're like, but God, I have pretty hands, I'm going to focus on my hands instead, you're really going to see your hands instead of your funny feet, and you won't even see the feet. But you know, it's just choosing where you put your focus, and it's a choice to do that. Just like it's a choice to be happy. You know, it's sometimes not easy. We all have the rough moments, but we have to be the first ones to pull up our bootstraps and choose to be happy, to choose to say I'm enough. And it's sometimes that's weird to say that, but you have to keep saying it until you believe it, you know?
If we don't love ourselves, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to love yourself. It's sometimes we can really look down and not be happy with our accomplishments, but it's not everything that you've accomplished, but it's really where you're going with those accomplishments too. What's your bigger picture? You know, why did you do that? Why did you accomplish this one thing? Do you have something else to move on to? Don't dwell on the past or the things that you haven't been able to do, but move forward with the lessons that you learned from doing them, and you know, grow along with it. A lot of confidence is knowing that you're not always going to be in this one place at this one time. There's a reason why this thing didn't go to fruition, because maybe there's something better on the horizon. Just try to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I appreciate you getting deep with us with that subject. That's very important. for us and for Minnie. Before we go into like where we can find you and social links and stuff, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to go out on this crazy limb here and say, hey, do you have a funny story or something silly you just want to share with everybody? Let's make the end of this like really happy and fun.
I've got plenty of funny stories. I just don't know if I can say them on air.
Oh yeah,
It helps.
please.
Oh, look at the baby!
Oh,
The baby's the one to go to. Look at
She's
Gabby.
tired.
so on your Instagram, very, very beautiful dog.
Thank you. Jenna, you can tell them about the time you got arrested in Texas.
Arrested in Texas.
Oh God.
I'm teasing. You don't.
No,
really
it wasn't.
have to.
Yeah, it wasn't Texas. It was Tennessee, and I was almost arrested. Almost, but it's the thing that kind of ties into the blossoming of Paradise Kitty. When I was 16 years old, I went across country with my good friend Amanda, and I was helping her move for college. And we had a night in Nashville. I had a fake ID, and there was a karaoke contest. So I picked Welcome to the Jungle, and I won the karaoke contest, but I also got kicked out of the bar for playing Axl Rose up on the bar tops, like, and walk in and just kicking over drinks and like screaming in people's faces, right? But I'm 16, and the owner came in and was not happy about that at all. So they kicked me out. And they're like, we're going to call the cops on you. And then I showed them my ID. I'm all, no, you're not, because you served liquor to a minor. Anyways, I didn't get arrested, but
This was
I didn't get arrested.
And it was in a band that she went, and
Yeah, this was when I was in St. Dick Shift. I didn't get arrested, but that friend ended up being mutual friends with the girl that helped me and Rachael start Paradise Kitty. And I was called into action for Paradise Kitty because I almost got arrested in Tennessee at 16 years old singing Welcome to the Jungle on bar tops. So
that's awesome.
There you go.
That's so hilarious. I love it. It's not only a funny story, but it's a story that brought things together, made things happen. So
yeah,
love it. All right. Lady.
Wow. Thank you so
Antman,
much,
is there any-
ladies. No, I want to touch on this one more time, man. Like I was the guy in the corner tonight, and thank you so much for allowing me to be the guy in the corner. I learned so much from both you ladies, and I have a whole new respect for female tribute bands as a whole. And I loved female performers before just because of the talent and the skill and the testicular fortitude that you guys tend to carry more than us when it comes to stuff. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
thanks for being the guy in the corner. I'm glad you weren't the creepy guy in the corner.
You're right. Yeah, I wash my hands, sanitizer, all that. No, but yeah, it's just really awesome. It's a breath of fresh air to see, because here on the East Coast, on this side of the world, we hear all the horror stories of how bad Hollywood is and how bad this is and how bad that is. And it's just really awesome to have people like yourselves on the show to reinforce the idea that it's not all bad. Like the road is the same. We all just wear a different pair of shoes when we walk it,
Some of us are wearing well, and some of us are getting suntans, I can say these things. I lived in New York for a while as well, so I love New York. Anyways.
All right, so everybody can find Paradise Kitty with paradise-kittyband.com, but will you guys drop, if you guys are wanting to share your social links or any other ones that Paradise Kitty particularly associates with?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Paradise Kitty Band, and on Twitter it's at Paradise Kitty and then _.
Awesome. So thank you, ladies, so much.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure for us to share the space with each other, and our listeners definitely are walking away tonight learning something. They've learned something from us. So,
Oh, right on.
you're amazing.
Well, next time we're out there in your guys' neck of the hood, you guys got to come out, be our guests.
Absolutely.
I'd be honored. That would be absolutely awesome.
I would be better if I was on the cruise. I would so love to do the cruise because you're part of that. So that would have been amazing. But
Are you more a Monsters of Rock cruise girl or more a Chris Jericho Fozzy cruise girl?
Monsters of Rock.
Woo woo!
Yeah.
Those are off the hook insane. So,
Yep.
well, maybe you'll make it out to one. You never know. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. All right, ladies, have a good night. Stay amazing, okay?
Thank
Cheers,
you. You too. Happy New Year.
Thank you,
Happy New
ladies.
Year.
Wow. Wow.
I love it.
Wow. That was awesome.
I love the empowerment that came with this tonight. It was a very solid feeling of.
Oh yeah, Rachel, happy birthday. My bad. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, happy birthday.
Yeah, my bad.
She's back there in the backstage.
Yeah, okay.
We're serving drinks back there in the green room.
Right on. Awesome. Roxy, thank you again for an awesome week. I will see you next Monday. Hurry up and come back to Cincinnati. Yes.
Well, there's another happy birthday for. Yeah, so busy time of year. We're trying to get our bearings together. We're making these New Year's resolutions and trying to make things happen. Busy, but don't overwhelm yourselves, everybody. Stay at the same pace you've always worked at. Just as long as you're moving forward, it's all that matters.
Right. Yep.
Don't move forward into doors. I've been hiding this pink eye all night because I tore my cornea. I've been trying to hide it. Yeah, but
See,
it's pretty red.
I told you. Let him have the Doritos. I told you.
I know, right?
Do not take the Doritos from the man.
I fell short.
Oh.
No kidding.
Oh boy, we gotta go. we're gonna get kicked off of YouTube. Thank you guys so much for doing what you do as artists, musicians, and all you people out there. Thank you for supporting us, man. Everybody who come and hang out tonight. Blevins, thank you so much, man. Gamalk and everybody else. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. Thank you again, Standout Serpents, Music, Familia Productions, W4CY, and Talk4TV. And we shall see you all next week, same time, Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Yes, sir.
Later.